Get ready to be delivered, and delivered in a hurry.
All right, everybody. Popp Rock Shop's first inaugural podcast, and I'm lucky to have today with me Scott Leuthold from Beggar Weeds. All right, so Scott, I just saw you perform at the book release for Occupancy 250 about Einstein A Go-Go, and you're all over this book. I mean, this was kind of your home base when you were in Beggar Weeds and while you were in Horsechild Breakfast. Now, tell me a little about your history with, you were born and raised in Jacksonville, and
Yep.
when did you start playing?
Didn't really play much until, I got a JCPenney guitar and an amp for Christmas, probably junior, senior year of high school.
What year approximately?
Like 80, 81.
Okay.
Didn't really play much. I took it to school with me and wound up we used the guitar as a skateboard in the dorm, going up and down the hallway. So it got a lot more action that way than actually playing with it. But I'd play a little bit. And my roommate was this guy, Bill Regano, and he was a good guitar player. And I think he got me more interested. His dad was Frank Regano from Tampa. I don't know if you ever heard about him.
I think I know Chris. Do you know Chris Regano? Was he related?
Yeah, that was his...
He was a fantastic guitarist.
Step brother, I think. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. We both know the Regano brothers.
Did you know their dad? He was like the mob lawyer, and
I knew of him because I was in a band with a guy who owned Arcos bail bonds in Tampa, so he knew all the Tampa.
Oh yeah,
and shady.
Santo Traficante was the mob boss, and Regano represented him, and.
Yeah, the Arcos, they had a handcuff loop in the back seat of their car, and they'd handcuff the guy to the floorboard to transport him if they jump bail.
Bond.
A lot of crazy Tampa stories. So that's interesting.
Great. Yeah, so
did he teach you?
I and this other kid from like Lauderdale, Scott Bafano, he didn't really teach me, but he inspired me. He had great records, great taste. He lives in Boston now. He's in a band called Count Zero. Mm-hmm. And they're still recording, doing stuff all the time. We were in the dorm first year, but I'm still in touch with them, fairly regularly. Yeah, I was at school at University of Florida, and there was a club there. I used to go out regularly. Like I'd be trying to do my architecture projects at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and Regano would come to the dorm. He moved out with Bobby, the Cuban Chinese heavy metal singer. Had the total of like perfect, the hair, like the kind of, short in the front, party in the back.
Yeah.
But he looked like Steve Perry from Journey.
Wow.
So he had moved out with Bobby, but I'd be trying to get my work done, and Regano would come around and he'd be like, "Come on, man, fuck that, let's dance." We'd go out to the Bottle Club. And
what was the name of that club? Was that the Metro?
That was Clubland.
Clubland. Okay.
Metro was around the corner.
Okay.
Clubland was a 3-story bottle club. Mm-hmm. Had a really spongy floor. The dance floor was on the top floor. Mm-hmm. And so if they put on a record that we didn't like, Regano would jump up and down and make the record skip until the DJ got pissed off and change the song.
There you go.
So we'd do that. We go to the Metro. The Metro is more like a trendy deco.
Mm-hmm. So this is around 82, 82-ish?
82, 83, 84. Yeah.
And was the hardback open then?
No, that was pre-hardback.
Okay, so you got your first guitar, JCPenney guitar. And when did you start actually? What was your first band? Was that in Gainesville or was that here in Jax?
It was Horsechild Breakfast. So like hanging out at the Metro and Clubland, the Metro would have live bands maybe once or twice a week. Bicycle Thieves.
Oh, I remember them.
The Comets was like a jam sound-alike kind of band from Ocala. Had this one dude, the main guy was from, I think he was English or Irish maybe. But they were pretty good. I still have their 45. But then I remember hearing about Horsechild Breakfast was playing. So
So they were a band before you joined, correct?
yes. Horsechild Breakfast was Palmer Wood was the main singer-songwriter. Adam Watson and Alan Cowart were the killer rhythm section.
Mm-hmm.
But Adam and Palmer would switch off a little bit. Adam would play guitar and had a couple songs. They recorded probably 1984, 85, recorded and put out a cassette tape. So I went to see them at the Metro. And I had met Adam maybe through Jan Toddy. Jan Toddy had a Silhouette, this fanzine that he put out called The Silhouette. And so I was introduced to Adam and, what's his name? Todd Eberly.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Eberly was a photographer. He still is doing photography for some big magazine in New York.
You knew how to play guitar, but you weren't in a band at this point.
But I really did not know how to play guitar. I mean, I just would noodle around a little bit, and then I started singing a bit. But then after I met Adam, saw him play at Metro, he, I think he said he said I was a weird looking dude, and he wanted me in the band. So he was like, hey, let's get that guy in the band. And then he talked Alan and Palmer into it somehow and letting me join the band. Lent me his bass, which was like a kind of a Hofner ripoff, maybe a Hagstrom, or it looked just like McCartney's bass.
Right.
So I borrowed that and plunked around on that. They were going to hire me as the bass player if I could figure it out. And then Palmer and Adam could both play guitar.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, the first song that we learned with me in the band was Yardbird's cover.
Really?
Lost Woman. Yeah. And so the first time we ever played was at Einstein A Go-Go. And they stood me up there. First song did Lost Woman with me on rhythm guitar.
That was the opening day, or they played the opening before you joined the band? Because they were the first band to play at Einstein A Go-Go, correct?
They were, yeah. Yeah, they played as a three-piece July the 4th, 85 for opening night, and then played again like a week later, opened for Love Tractor. Mm-hmm. And then they played throughout the year, and then I played the first anniversary show with them July 4th. Did Lost Woman, maybe 3 or 4 other songs, and then
on bass.
Yeah, I switched to the bass. I played Lost Woman on the guitar and sang, and then switched to the bass. Played I think we got through 5 songs, and then Terry got on the mic. Terry always ran sound, Terry Faircloth. And she got on the mic and said, okay, we're going to have to shut everything down because there's a riot out in the street. It's like a skinhead rally, and they're doing the goose step down 3rd Street. Wow. Or 1st, I guess. Yeah, it was up and down 1st Street. And there were stories later about, like, biker gangs going up against the skinheads, like swinging chains.
Well, was that, this is 86, right?
Yeah,
and,
July 86.
And Blighted Area was still open at that point?
Yeah, Blighted Area, I think, was still
another club
happening then. Yeah.
And that attracted the skinheads, that club, correct? They did
I'd
a
say
lot rougher stuff than Einstein did.
Yeah, it was more of a total punk rock venue. Right. Yeah, I saw the Minutemen there, and 10,000 Maniacs played there before they played the Go-Go.
Yeah.
OK, the band from Atlanta was, what was her name? Well, Linda Stipe was in the band, Michael's little sister, and so they already had, and Tammie, I just read in the book that Tammie was kind of inspired by the Blighted Area.
Yeah.
She was like, oh yeah, let's see what we can do, and talked her folks into finding the venue.
But the beach was pretty rough back then, wasn't it? As far as, it wasn't gentrified like it was now. It was, I remember going down there up to the Blighted Area in Einstein, and there was another club right adjoining Einstein or
Peelers.
Peelers.
And Pier 7 across the street, I think.
Right. And those
Both
guys
like metal clubs.
Yeah, they would laugh at us going in there with our thrift store clothes and
and our Edge City Chinese shoes. Yeah.
I had some of those fold down velour boots like Keith Richards had. I used
Really?
to wear those. Yeah.
Did you get those at Edge City?
No, I didn't. I got them, somewhere, but I was a big rocker.
I had gas pants from Edge City, which were actually pants from World War II that they'd give the soldiers to put on if there was a mustard gas attack. They put these things on to protect themselves. And so Tom and Ganell took them and tie-dyed them, and they were like these huge. I'd like to pull them up around my shoulders, and it'd be like Mum and Shantz or one of these old puppet show kind of deals.
Can't tell where your head is or your feet,
Yeah, right.
So that was cool. You played with Horsechild Breakfast for how long was that?
It only lasted. Wow, I guess I got out of school like May. We started practicing. Played the first show on the 4th of July, and by the end of July, my birthday, we had we went. Remember, Adam and Alan and I went out. There was this practice place just on the same block as the Go-Go. Mm-hmm. There was actually an old roller rink. It was like a 2-story, and the upstairs, like my mom used to go there in the 40s to roller skate at the beach, and this lady had turned it into divided it up and turned it into a rehearsal space. And so we went out there to practice one day. We were going to meet Palmer there. And we went upstairs and opened the door to the practice place. We could hear if somebody was already in there practicing. So Stevie Stiletto and the Switchblades were all settled in to our practice place, going to town. And Palmer was maybe playing with them. He was good buddies with Tammie and Tommy Berlin. Mm-hmm. So Adam and Alan were like, "What the fuck? What's going on? We got this time. This is our space. What's the?" I was like, "Yeah, come on, man. It's the Switchblades. Just let them practice." And anyway, they got
into a fight.
Yeah, there was this little struggle, and Palmer's like, "Oh, forget. I'm out of the band, man. I quit." And so then we had to kind of figure out what we were going to do.
Mm-hmm. And were you singing before at all in Horsechild Breakfast, or were you just on bass and guitar?
Really, only that one Yardbird song.
that's like
let me sing
karaoke song, right? Now?
Yeah, right.
So that's interesting. And so then after that, you became Beggar Weeds, right?
Yeah, we had to, Adam had some songs. I had a couple of songs. So we all met at the Taco Bell in Mandarin for our first kind of come to Jesus, like, hey, we have enough songs to really make something work. Mm-hmm. So we had like matching white pickup trucks, the three of us. Adam already had a Mazda, and I said, wow, this is cool. I need one of those. So I went and bought the exact same Mazda B2000 white pickup truck that Adam had. And Alan had a white Toyota. And so we went to Taco Bell, probably had all 3 trucks parked there in the parking lot, and sat on the tailgate and played our songs.
Wow, that's great.
And after a while...
That was like your first Beggar Weeds practice. It was on the back of these pickup trucks.
On my birthday, I think. Yeah,
wow.
July 27th.
Wow.
86.
How quickly... I mean, it seems like you guys were already rolling with Horsechild Breakfast, so were the Beggar Weeds gigs just waiting for you? Or, I mean, Einstein seemed to be very generous about just letting anybody and everybody play there. Right. I mean, I've seen some amazing bands, I've seen some terrible bands.
Yeah, but, and they let us all play.
And they let everybody play. Same stage, same PA, and the same care went into every single band, I think. Like they never treated anybody like they weren't awesome, Oh, yeah. Took care of all of us. And your first gig with Beggar Weeds was at Einstein?
Had to be. I mean, the first time we played for people was at my parents' mom and dad were out of town. Mm-hmm. So invited a bunch of people over. First time we met, like our good friend Liz, all of our friends, all our separate friends we invited. Mm-hmm. And then we, each met a bunch of people that we knew, still know to this day. So we played that night. I'm sure the first show was at Einstein, but I can't recall. Seems like maybe it was another opening gig for Love Tractor, or yeah. But yeah, Tammie and Terry. We were available and pretty affable. We were relatively easy to get along with.
Right.
So they could call us and say, "Hey, we got somebody dropped out. Can you play?" So I like to think we kind of became the house band.
Yeah, you guys play there. I probably saw you there at least 4 or 5 times myself. And I'm sure I've seen you open for Love Tractor because I used to go to their shows. Man, they were loud, weren't they? I remember they had these little Fender
loud.
Concert 100 amps or something, and they were just, it was clean sounding, but it was loud, man.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have a vocalist, so they had that was their gimmick, clean and loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it sounded great.
When we played with them at UNF, that was another kind of standard venue for us. Was
at the Boathouse?
Played the Boathouse a couple times, but we played the bigger theater or whatever that is.
Oh, they had like a performance space. I don't think I've ever been to that.
It was a nice.
Oh no, I have been to that. I saw Jason
space.
and the Scorchers there on Halloween one year.
Oh right.
Yeah.
I bet that was great.
Yeah,
I might have been
they
there.
Were good. They were
recall.
fantastic. But I loved the Boathouse on-campus bar that the bands play, and that's sort of
the last Boathouse
anymore.
show we played. It was just us, and there was a DJ, and I remember the people in the crowd were like, "Where's Skip?" They just wanted the DJ back.
That happened to us
did
all.
A couple more songs. We're like, "All right, here comes Skip."
Yeah, and then everybody starts dancing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But in the big theater, we played open for Royal Crescent Mob.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. And Alan and Paul were drinking all their whiskey, and they got mad, and it was a memorable night. Who else? Oh, we played with Dead Milkmen at the UNF theater too.
Wow,
that was fun.
So, how did you get all these gigs? Did it all spawn from the Einstein shows, and people heard about you, or did you have a demo out, or what? How did you get these gigs? Like opening for Royal Crescent Mob and things like that.
It really, Tammie and Terry, they got us introduced to playing with bigger bands.
Wow.
And then I guess we put a press kit together, and we got some of Palmer's guitars out of Hawk in trade for those promo pics that I brought.
Okay, yeah.
His girlfriend at the time, this Molly McAdams, she agreed to do some promo pics for us. Mm-hmm. If I would pay to get Palmer's guitars out of Hawk.
Oh, okay. So that's what that was. And this is after he was out of the band?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then when did you make this? So this is your record. This is Pants Alot, Beggar Weeds.
Yeah.
And it's, what is it, 5 songs? 5 songs?
Yeah.
And when was this recorded?
I think 87 or 88. So our first attempt at recording, we went to Miami to L7 Studios. Bob Lose was kind of the engineer, producer guy. And the Silos had done some records there and heard good things. So we went, and while we were there, the Butthole Surfers were playing at the Cameo in Miami. Mm-hmm. So I think the first day we laid down we wanted to do a live recording. We wanted it to be sort of punk rock and, no overdubs. And
right.
then we still overdubbed the vocals, but instead of separate, background, and we just all hovered around the mic and sang one track together. But yeah, we put the instruments down with a scratch track, and then went to see the Butthole Surfers that night, which we were all just kind of traumatized by the Butthole Surfers show. flaming cymbals, and they showed Mechanized Death, the old, I think it was like the Ohio State Patrol film of all the accidents and them pulling people out of cars after drunk driving accidents, and so they showed that behind the band, and then this Jacques Cousteau film, and I don't know. But the main thing is that the cameo was just littered with all of these kids, like junkie kids, all just spilled out on the stairs, and they're like, just seemed like kids sleeping on, in the aisles. It was a real scene. So we went in the next day and did the vocal tracks, so we blame the Butthole Surfers for kind of.
But that became this record or not?
No, so that was like 7. I think we did 7 songs, and we just weren't happy with the outcome. So,
what were some of the shortcomings? It sounded too slick, or
no? Just our singing was we were just off key for the most part.
Well, we were at the show all night, right?
Yeah,
showed up.
Yeah.
Probably hungover, right?
It's the Butthole's fault.
Screaming, yeah.
Yeah.
I always blame them.
You're right. Yeah. And then, since we recorded everything on one track, all of our vocals, we couldn't really.
Yeah.
So, but funny thing is, we're going in next weekend to a studio in Tallahassee to kind of see if we can salvage 3 of those songs anyway.
Wow, that's cool.
Adam and I went in and listened a couple weeks ago, and sounds better than we remembered. Mm-hmm. He finally found the 1-inch tape with all the tracks.
Is that done on 16 track? 1-inch?
16, yeah.
So you could get that transferred and you could just do the vocals, right? Is that the idea?
I mean, I don't think we're going to add anything. We're just going to...
You're just going to mix what's on there?
The 3 songs that we're focusing on, the vocals are workable. So
cool.
Yeah.
So how did we get this record?
So since we weren't happy with that stuff, then somebody said, well, you need to go to see Jim DeVito.
Oh, yeah.
And
very well known in Florida.
I guess the Switchblades, various members of Tom Petty's band, I think, did some sort of solo stuff there. Jim's band. Who else? Seems like you talked about some other bands that recorded it. Anyway, yeah, Jim, we went in for a few days, took Jim some peanut M&Ms, because he liked to have his peanut M&Ms while he's recording. And so we did the 5 songs. And
just these 5? You didn't track anything else?
No, that we just decided on just an EP, and probably didn't have enough decent songs to really fill.
And was he involved with the pressing of this too, and the prep for the vinyl?
No, I think he probably recommended some pressing plant, or he was like Georgia Pressing. And Jim at the studio, he had a big flood maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and lost a bunch of equipment, some recordings, but fortunately he had put our DAT up in the attic. So
wow, you got the high shelf.
Top shelf, that's right.
Top shelf.
So he dug around. I called him a year and a half ago, and he started digging and came up with the DAT, and then had to come up with the machine that he could transfer the DAT.
Right, yeah.
So he got all that together, and he came out to see us at the book release last week.
Oh, did I see him?
Did you see him? He had the long beard. Oh, he's in some of the pictures.
I didn't know that was him.
It's DeVito. Oh,
gosh.
I would have introduced you to him.
No, I saw him in the 80s.
I think you were
but he
off,
looks
like
totally,
shopping for cereal.
He's
or
got
something.
like a big gray beard, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him. He posed for pictures.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't know that was him. I saw him when he was young, and he had like just a dark beard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him in...
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him in 30 years. So.
Wow. You recorded that there, and it wasn't professionally mastered or anything, was it? He just did everything himself and sent it to the record company, and you pressed it, the printing place?
Yeah, unless they had some kind of mastering service at the pressing place.
Yeah,
possibly.
They probably master it for vinyl.
Yeah, right.
And then this came out with the 5 songs on it.
Right.
And did this help you get even more gigs and more exposure, things like that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at least we had something to send out to radio stations and clubs. So we were able to book a tour up the East Coast. Got to play at CBGB's, and Joe Popp was there at one of the shows in New York, one of the first shows.
That was at the Continental.
That's right.
In 88, it'd have to be, right? Pretty
It
sure
was
it was 88.
88.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Doug and I did a road trip, and he wanted to stop a few places, but it was really specifically to see Beggar Weeds in New York.
That's
And
crazy.
he was a bigger fan than I mean, I was a fan, and I
Yeah.
still am, but he was a huge Beggar Weeds fan. And I remember that gig. It was hilarious. Ron Berman of Roadrunner Records fame now was with us, and we were dancing, and you guys were killing it, and it was packed, and it was a great show. And I
Yeah.
was really like, hey, those guys are from Jacksonville, man. Look at those guys.
Is that what we came up here for?
Yeah, no, you guys were awesome. But the thing was, so many people get tied up in technical ability, and that's a great thing. But for me, it's about songwriting. And you guys have these great songs, and I think you and I talked about this before. Your stuff has sort of a country folk infused thing, but it still is electric in its performance. And there were a lot of bands around your time, Silos, Naomi's Hair,
Right.
you guys, that had this country kind of, I don't know if country's the right word. Maybe folk is better, but it wasn't like anywhere else in the country. And I mean, REM sort of had this thing too, maybe not as Florida-ish as you guys, but
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be a scene created. I guess Florida's too far off the beaten path for people to get down here and sign major record deals.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Now, were you ever courted by a label?
Yeah, we were courted a little bit by Terry Tolkien was this A&R guy. Who was he with? Atlantic? I don't know. He worked for a couple labels. Then there was like some interest from Caroline and
Oh, right. Caroline, yeah.
who else? I don't know, but we somehow just like botched every negotiation with.
Like the Replacements, right? They purposely, I don't know if purposely, but they talk about Replacements said, some people say don't bite the hand that feeds you. We took the whole arm.
Yeah.
Because
And unfortunately, they were like our heroes,
Yeah,
So-
and I was going to ask you about that because you guys sort of looked like your hair was sort of like that crazy disheveled thing. You sort of had similar clothing, like thrift store clothes, and more of the like Sorry Ma kind of album than the later stuff, obviously, But I could see that influence in you guys.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to open for them?
No, we were supposed to open for them at Einstein.
Oh,
And so that was Horsechild Breakfast. So we learned Johnny's Gonna Die. We thought it'd be hilarious, to open our show with one of their songs.
cover them, yeah.
Yeah. So we got that together, and then I think and they hooked up with Alex Chilton to open.
Oh, right,
So
yeah.
we were out of there.
Well, that's too bad. You didn't get to open for the Replacements. I'm sure you were at the show, though.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And I think, we saw him in Gainesville. I think before that show, maybe 84, 85, they played at Reality Kitchen in Gainesville. Or it might have been called First in Maine at the time. And Alan was there. And at the end of the night, it was a typical sloppy, drunken carnival show. And the end of the night, the drummer, Mars, and I think maybe Stinson, the guitar player, what's his name? Bob.
Yeah.
Bob left, or they all left, but only Westerberg and probably Tammie came back. And they're like, anybody play the drums? And Robin Page was like, Alan. And she told him to get up there, so he got up and played drums with him for.
With the replacements.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
so they played. Alan said it was like a kind of a jazz exploration number.
Yeah.
They were just
Jazz
like-
Odyssey.
Yeah, right.
How many people were at that show approximately?
It was a pretty good crowd. Like, I don't know, 100 people, 150.
Okay.
Wasn't a huge place.
Not like later in their career where they were filming.
No, this
places
was
up.
It was probably right after Let It Be came out.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Alan said they played maybe a song or two, if you could call them songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bob and Mars came out and pretty much, or no, that's right. Alan got down and some other guy got up on the drums and they came out and tackled the dude and the drums exploded, he said. And it just like went everywhere.
So, okay, album's out. You guys are playing. You're playing up the East Coast. And what happened next? How long did you stay together after this album?
We were together until maybe, I think, the beginning of 93, I think. Something like that.
So a long time.
Yeah.
And this was your only released recording?
Yeah. We, so Tammie and Terry, really, Tammie introduced us to the Chickasaw Mud Puppies from Athens.
Mm-hmm.
And we wound up playing together quite a bit, touring. We did a tour with them in Flat Duo Jets where we went up to Jersey, Connecticut, all points in between, and then the Midwest. But our good friend Liz passed away like in the middle of the tour, and we came home for the funeral, and then we went back and joined them in Kansas City, I think, and finished the tour. So the Mud Puppies, they had lots of great connections in Athens, and they would cook bring us up there. We'd stay with Brant mostly, stay with Ben once or twice. Ben lived in a potato crib out in Watkinsville. And Brant was buddies with Michael Stipe. I think Stipe bought Brant gave him a bag of harmonicas, which kind of got him started. So Brant played our record for him at some point, maybe in 90, 91. And he was bringing bands into John Keane's studio at the time and recording. He recorded, there was a band called Daisy out of Athens, Magna Pop, which was Linda from OOK. She started that band, Magna Pop. And then the Opal Fox Quartet was a big kind of ensemble from Atlanta. They were fantastic. So he invited us into the studio, and we went in for a couple weeks and recorded 6 songs.
And what year was this approximately?
This was February of 91, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were trying to get another recording out, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we tried.
And so it was this guy's studio, and Stipe was involved somehow?
Yeah, John Keane, he recorded a lot of band. He did some sort of side recording for REM. Did Widespread Panic. Did a bunch of Athens bands.
Yeah, I'm
Had a
familiar with
nice
the name.
studio.
I've heard of him, yeah.
So Stipe. Also, Jim McKay was kind of a percussionist for the Mud Puppies early on. Played Garbage Cans and all kinds of stuff. He wound up a filmmaker, made a couple of movies. Not sure what he's up to these days. But so they proposed, like Jim and Michael Stipe kind of co-produced the 6 songs.
Okay.
They were in the studio with us, and Stipe plays various keyboards and some piano on a couple tunes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And what happened with that recording? Like it just never saw the light of day, or?
Well, we shopped it a little bit, and really that's where the interest from Caroline and Atlantic and a couple of the labels came from. Was from the, because Stipe really helped out, like gave us a blurb and put packages together and sent those out to his industry people, and but just didn't quite hear a single, or
Oh, right.
I don't
One of
know
those things. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got to make money, so we got to
right.
sell it. Yeah.
And we recorded some showcases. Went to South by Southwest, and then Stipe hosted one in New York at Tramps. It was for what was it? New Music Express, or what was that big? CMJ. It was for CMJ.
CMJ. Yeah.
So the four of the bands that he had worked with in the studio all kind of did a little tour up there.
Oh, nice.
And back. So it was Daisy, Magnapop, Opal Fox, and us. And then we played a showcase at Tramps. Got a nice write-up. I think David Fricke wrote an article.
Oh, right.
And
He wasn't with Rolling Stone at the time, or he was?
I think he was kind of maybe a freelancer. This particular article came out in Melody Maker.
Okay.
And then there was another kind of nice blurb in the New Yorker, like in About Town.
Yeah, wow.
When we were coming through later with the Chickasaw Mud Puppies and the Flat Duo Jets. So, they really had a leg up, just didn't quite get out there.
How was the feeling of the band? Did you feel like something was about to happen? Especially with the Stipe push, do you feel like you were on the verge of something, and it just didn't gel?
Yeah, we thought things were coming around.
And this was 91-ish?
Yeah, 91, and toured through that year, played throughout 92, and then kind of hung up our hats at the end of 92, beginning of 93.
And what happened in 93? You're just kind of like, we tried every angle and we're kind of done, or?
Yeah.
Growing up, I mean.
Yeah, I think, we'd booked some shows. We played Cover Dish in Gainesville, and I was really not good at letting everybody know when we were playing. And I think I called Adam one day, and it's like, yeah, we're playing Cover Dish tonight. And he was upset with me, and I think we wound up. And then I told, maybe Alan and I rode down there together. I can't remember, and it's like, I don't know, we just not happening. And
but Adam went with you to the show, or not?
Yeah, he did. No, we all got.
But he was
there.
upset because you didn't communicate when the gig was?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And what was that about? You just didn't talk much as a band, or?
We just forgot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Adam got there, and we were like, this is it. This is sort of last show. And
was that the Cover Dish?
he was like, no, it isn't. That's, yeah.
And then, so you guys break up. The Stipe record never got made, and you guys played a few reunions that I heard about. What was the first time you got back together after the breakup in '93?
I think it was for an Einstein A Go-Go kind of gathering at Fuel and 5 Points in Jacksonville. And that was fun.
And what year was that approximately?
2006, I think.
Okay, so it had been a while. And were you guys still friends through all this, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
You just kind of done with the band at the time?
Yeah, I think we kind of drifted a little bit, but we're always in touch.
And then Alan and Adam moved away from Jacksonville, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Alan lived in New York for a while.
And you were in New York for a while. Were you there at the same time, or
no?
not?
He was there pretty soon after the band split. I think he was up there with Michelle for a while. And then, I don't know how long ago he moved to Orlando. But, yeah, he's in Orlando. Adam's in Tallahassee. So, just, in the last few years, we just talked about.
And then you've done some more reunions since then. But now the big news
did
is
a
that...
milk bar reunion. I think that one people were asking for the DJ too.
Really? They had a big reggae night there, didn't they? Or that was
I think
Metropolis.
It was,
I forget.
What's his name? Robert Goodman. Robert Goodman was the big DJ.
Yeah.
So everybody was stoked about Goodman.
Well, and I just saw you guys play in Athens last year. And you played again here at Rain Dogs in Jacksonville. And so you're doing more of these reunion gigs. And then the big news is you have a record coming out. Is that public information?
Yeah. We, I guess a couple years ago, we said, either we heard about, there are a couple labels that are kind of looking at old bands that never really went anywhere. And resurrecting them, like I think Jefferson Holt, the old manager for REM, he's had labels through the years, and I think he's got something to do with this label with Coil. What's his name? Somebody Coil. Anyway, it's I can't remember the name of the record, but I was talking to Vanessa with Pylon the other day, and they have music out on that label and on Strolling Bones, which is this guy George. He's a great music fan. He's got a label. He's with New West, but he has this kind of side label, Strolling Bones, where he's either finding new talent or kind of resurrecting some old ones. And
so Strolling Bones is going to put out this record?
They are, yeah.
And what's going to be on it?
It's going to be just reissue of Sure Pants Alot, and then the Stipe and McKay recordings from John Keane Studios. And if we can get these, 1 to 3 songs from the old
from the
L7.
Miami, the L7 sessions, right? Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology now is incredible. I was just playing with something in Apple Logic. It's called Stem Splitter. You can take a fully mixed song and it breaks it into individual tracks of bass, drums, guitars, and vocals. I'll show it to you when we're done. But
that's crazy.
But the stuff they can do now with these old recordings, they can really resurrect them, noise reduction, and it's exciting to hear that your stuff is going to be coming out again. What is there any legality issues with Stipe, or is he in the loop on any of this stuff?
Well, he paid for all the studio time back in the day, and he had a kind of a clause where if we got a record deal, and he was, he said at the time, he's like, you guys are going to have a record deal within 3 months. And
wow, that must have felt good.
Yeah. And when that happens, then you can pay me back. So
was there a number?
That never happened.
Was there a number like
yeah,
$80,000 or some number?
It was under 10 grand.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't bad. So.
No.
So that could still happen. You put this record out, you get a record deal, you got to cut Stipe a check.
No, so I reached out to the lawyer, REM's lawyer, Burtis, and said, "Hey, we're thinking about finally releasing this stuff."
30 years later.
30,
right? Almost 30.
No, more than 30.
What was it? 90?
33 years later.
33 years later. Wow.
Yeah. And so he, ran it by Stipe, and Stipe sent a little letter that said, "Hey, it's great. Stuff still sounds good. Glad you're finally doing something, and all the best." Basically, you don't owe me anything.
Oh, nice. Keep that letter just in case it goes
right.
really big.
Yes, right.
So that's where we are now, right? And you guys are going to keep playing, even though the guys are living in other places. You get together and rehearse. I saw you in Athens. I saw you here in Jacksonville. Do you have any other places you think you might be playing?
Nothing on the books. We were going to play last weekend with Pylon which turned into this big Einstein A Go-Go gathering with the book release. But at the time, it was just an opening slot, and Pylon had reached out, since we're kind of label mates now, and said, "Hey, can the Beggar Weeds play?" So I ran it by them, and everybody was into it. But Alan had to take a job, pay the bills.
Yeah.
So he was in the Bahamas last weekend. So we don't really have any shows set up at the moment.
Do you consider yourself a band again, or is it more like we get together and do a show every now and then as a reunion?
We're a band, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And are you going to do any new material for
Hopefully,
the track?
yeah. We're gonna. So we'll put out the old stuff and
You're going to do vinyl?
See how it goes. Yeah, it'll be vinyl, CD, and streaming.
Okay.
Stuff. And then
CD too, huh? Wow.
Yeah, they said it's
still viable.
I guess. So, yeah.
Thanks for stopping in to talk to us. Anything else you want to mention?
Look for the record, 2025.
I'm Joe Popp from Popp Rock Shop, and this is our inaugural Poppcast. And a big thanks to Scott Leuthold for stopping in.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Popp Rock Shop. We make cool stuff.